Well, here we are with Ezekiel chapter 41. This is the continuation of understanding the temple that Ezekiel saw in his revelation, his vision. And so we started this in chapter 40. We're going to see more about this in 41 today. So chapter 41, verse 1. Afterward, he brought me to the temple and measured the post, 6 cubits broad on the one side, 6 cubits broad on the other side, which was the breadth of the tabernacle. And the breadth of the door was 10 cubits, and the sides of the door were 5 cubits on one side and 5 cubits on the other side. And he measured the length thereof 40 cubits, and the breadth 20 cubits. Then went he inward and measured the post of the door 2 cubits, and the door 6 cubits, and the breadth of the door 7 cubits. So if you're wondering, what is a cubit, what's going on? We talked about this in the last chapter. Watch chapter 40, the rod that he's using to measure against is 10.5 feet. Cubits, about 21 inches. 1 cubit's about 21 inches, basically, is what we're getting here. So you can kind of make those equations if you'd like to. Verse 4, so he measured the length thereof 20 cubits, the breadth thereof 20 cubits before the temple. He said unto me, this is the most holy place. Now, interesting, when we look at this whole vision, this is the 7th place that he has mentioned, the 7th room. 7th represents the Sabbath, the holy place, the holy time. So this is the most holy place. So remember, the tabernacle had the tabernacle of the congregation, then the holy place, then the most holy place. This is the one that's at the top. Everything builds up to this point, basically, as if the temple was a mountain or built on a hill. The holiest place is at the top of it. Okay, the most holy place. Verse 5, after he measured the wall of the house, 6 cubits the breadth of every side chamber, 4 cubits round about the house on every side, and the side chambers were 3, one over another, 30 in order. They entered into the wall, which is of the house for the side chambers round about, that they might have hold, but they had not hold in the wall of the house. And there was an enlarging and a winding about still upward to the side chambers. For the winding about of the house went still upward round about the house. Therefore the breadth of the house was still upward, and so increased from the lowest chamber to the highest by the midst. So again, he's talking about these ideas of its building upon itself. Verse 8, I also saw the height of the house round about. The foundations of the side chambers were a full reed of 6 great cubits. The thickness of the wall, which was for the side chamber without, was 5 cubits. And that which was left was the place of the side chambers that were within. And between the chambers that was the wideness of 20 cubits round about the house on every side. And the doors of the side chambers were toward the place that was left, one door toward the north, and the other door toward the south. And the breadth of the place that was left was 5 cubits round about. Now the building that was before the separate place at the end toward the west was 70 cubits broad, and the wall of the building was 5 cubits thick round about, and the length thereof 90 cubits. So he measured the house 100 cubits long, and the separate place and the building with the walls thereof 100 cubits long. Also the breadth of the face of the house and of the separate place toward the east 100 cubits. He measured the length of the building over against the separate place which was behind it, and the galleries thereof on the one side and on the other side 100 cubits, with the inner temple and the porches of the court. Lots of buildings, lots of structure going on with this. Verse 16, the door posts and the narrow windows and the galleries round about on their 3 stories over against the door, sealed with wood, or paneled or veneered, basically with wood round about from the ground up to the windows, and the windows were covered. To that above the door, even unto the inner house and without, by all the wall round about within and without by measure. And it was made with cherubims and palm trees, so that a palm tree was between a cherub, and every cherub had 2 faces. So remember the idea of the cherubs that used to be on the Ark of the Covenant with their wings. These were now on the walls with the palm trees and things as well. Verse 19, so that the face of a man was toward the palm tree on the one side, and the face of a young lion toward the palm tree on the other side. So remember, the cherubs have more than one face. So the face of a man was facing forward, the lion was facing backward. It was made through all the house round about. From the ground unto above the door were cherubims and palm trees made on the wall of the temple. The posts of the temple were squared, and the face of the sanctuary, the appearance of the one as the appearance of the other. The altar of wood was 3 cubits high, and the length thereof 2 cubits, and the corners thereof, the length thereof, and the walls thereof were of wood. And he said unto me, This is the table that is before the Lord. So this would be like a place in this area that would be where the priest could come in and do their oblations, like kneel in front of this table to talk to God, basically. Verse 23, and the temple and the sanctuary had 2 doors, and the doors had 2 leaves apiece, 2 turning leaves, 2 leaves for the one door, 2 leaves for the other door. And there were made on them, on the doors of the temple, cherubims and palm trees, like as were made upon the walls. And there were thick planks upon the face thereof, upon the face of the porch without. And there were narrow windows, and the palm trees on the one side and on the other side, and on the sides of the porch, and upon the sides of the chambers in the house, thick planks. So this is the idea of the inner chambers where it's more decorated, more holy to the Lord, basically, that is there. So an interesting description of the temple that Ezekiel is seeing. Now let's jump over to our next chapter to continue understanding this vision more.